Hello, and welcome to our first episode of Chickens and Chatter. I am very happy to have a special guest, Diane, here, and we will be talking about coop design and layout. So, hi, Diane. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
So, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am semi-retired. I work 3 days a week and get to spend 4 days a week with my chickens. I started off with four girls, Dorothy, Blanche, Rose, and who's the other one? Oh my God, I forgot the other golden girl. Sophia. I started off with four girls, and that was all it took. I was smitten, and they work your way into into your hearts, and then chicken math is real. Now I have 24 girls, and have had heartbreak and happiness all along the way. I've lost a small flock to a dog attack. That was traumatic, but and I've lost to hawks. So every tragedy I used as learning. And I've been doing this for about 5 years now, 4 or 5 years, and learning the whole time.
That's great. And the thing like coop design is so important because going back to my very first flock, I had them for about 7 months, and then it was January. A raccoon broke into the run and got into the coop, and unfortunately killed my whole flock except one. And
Yeah.
that was from just ignorance on my part, and there was a weakness that I wasn't even aware of until the raccoon found it. So I'm really excited to hear what you have to say. I mean, you have a beautiful setup, and I'd love to hear more about, what you've done and the important things, and for people who are, setting up a coop and, what they should do.
I have because of all my learning, I have built myself a chicken fortress. um, there's more hardware cloth in here than than I thought I could ever purchase. Hardware cloth is going to be, it's going to, and I'll talk about that a little later. It's going to be essential. Um, I know that I know that the chicken wire is so much less expensive. It really is. But it's also not as safe. It's easy for predator. Um, I have watched critters get through chicken wire with very little problem. I watched a possum crawl through a chain link fence. That
Wow.
was fun. At the other house that I used to live at, I had the coop that I have now in some form, but I started off with chain link, and then I wound up having to put something over the chain link, and you do what you can. I mean, I don't want to put anybody off about owning chickens. Oh, I have to have this huge setup. Oh, it's got to be a fortress. Oh, it's got to be this or that. You don't. You don't. Chickens are gonna be fine. You have to know the risks of predators and know that you're exposing them to that. But that's, in my opinion, not a good reason not to have a chicken in your life. Um, I
Exactly.
think I think that I have gone. If anybody who knows me knows I go above and beyond. I kind of overdo, but it's what I wanted. I built this run and coop just as much for me and my convenience as it was for them and their happiness. I combined those two. Um, so starting off, I'd like to say you can build your own coop. It is not that difficult. Plenty of Pinterest is our friend. You can do, with simple plywood and 2x4s, you can build a perfectly good uh, coop for your girls. Or if you have a shed on your property, you can modify what you have to make it into a very suitable run. Chickens need the basics. They need shelter. They need enough space for everybody. They need roosting, and they need food and water. They need good ventilation. These are all things that should be just the basics. Okay. A place to lay an egg, believe me, they'll find anywhere to lay an egg.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
It could be a real Easter egg hunt sometimes. I had, when I moved to the house that I'm at now, I live with my best friends. And when I moved here, they had a metal shed that I brought my girls to and used while I was building what I'm building now. And there's my boy. That's Kanga. Telling us everything's okay and he's in charge. So when I put them in there, I built them roosts and made sure that they had good ventilation. They had chickens in that previously, and so it worked out very well while I was building what I was building. They had plenty of space for food and water, and nesting boxes were all there. The ventilation is important for one very good reason. It allows heat to escape in the summer, and we have had a pretty brutal summer. I'm in Western Kentucky, and we have had a pretty brutal summer so far, and we're just getting started. It was like the other day where it's like, we haven't even hit July yet, and it's 95.
Yeah, it is. It's very hot, and I think the heat seems to be harder on the chickens than the winters. Really cold here, but as long as you protect them from the wind and so yeah, the ventilation, especially people with the panting chickens, like in the coop where it's so hot.
Panting is okay. That means they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're respirating. They're trying to cool off their bodies. They will they'll lift up their wings to try to get some airflow in there. What you don't want to see is lethargy.
Yeah.
You don't want anybody just laying. They'll dig in. They'll find, if you've got like my I used to have grass when I first built it. I was like, oh, this is beautiful. This is great. Kanga, I swear I'm going to throw something at you, honey. I think that I thought that it was going to stay that way. It did not stay that way. But now and occasionally I have bought easy straw and thrown it down on the ground, and it works fabulously well. It works so well. It's very finely chopped, soft straw. And what it's done is it has broken down in here with the dirt and made a very nice floor for them. They can dig in it. They can dust bathe anywhere they like. I do have a specific dust bath for them. It looks like a little gazebo. I built it. I chopped down little trees and built a little wood gazebo, and my run is big enough that I can have it in here with them. But the ventilation issue is extremely important in the winter, especially. They do have a hard time with the heat, as you mentioned, but because their body temperatures are naturally at 109 degrees. Yeah. And that's pretty hot to start with, and then you add 95 degrees and humidity on top of that, and it can get pretty difficult for them. So having a place that has shade, if you're looking for, location, if you're looking for a place to put your coop right from the get-go, say you're going to build, if you can find a place that has some shade that you can build under, because then if you put any kind of shade on top, that's what you call deep shade. You've got shade on shade, and that really cools things down for them.
Yeah. So
Um,
what do you think of the coops that they sell, like just like that? I see a lot of people that start with those, with those coops, and I personally found it says it's going to hold a lot more chickens than what it actually does.
they're
And
desperately undersized. Okay. If you have a flock of 3 and are only going to have 3, then it might be okay. And if it says that buy the coop that says it's for 5 or 6 chickens, then that will hold 3 kind of well. They're also not built very, I don't want to say they're not built very well. I mean, if that's what you can get, put your chicken in it. Just know that it may need a little fortification in that the materials that they use, the wood that they use, can be easily chewed through by anything with gnawing teeth. It's very thin material. And they do that to keep the cost down, and I understand that. If you're going to get something like that, my personal suggestion would be to cover it, even cover the outside of the wood area with hardware cloth. Just put something on top of it that something's not going to be able to gnaw through, because they're trying to make it affordable.
yeah.
So they are something that you can get. They're also, you just remember they're usually small for the number of chickens that they say, and that the materials are on the inexpensive side, so that you really need to. I know, baby. Look at you. He's so proud. So the materials are just something that you're going to watch out for. You may want to fortify it at some point. It can be a great starting point. I know a lot of people who get them to put in their runs.
Yeah.
Just as a place for them to get out of the sun and out of the weather.
Yeah, and that is, but it clearly, my chicken go over, and it wasn't going to work. So,
Right.
But
and that leads us to space. Space is very important. They say, if you've got bantams and you only have bantams, 2 square feet per bird is kind of what people suggest. And I've done my study. I've done my studying. I learned a lot from Story's Guide to Raising Chickens. That's a wonderful reference just to have. It addresses everything. When I thought this wonderful rooster that I have here, he's a darling, was going to kill every chicken by mating it to death. I had kind of went in there and was like, what's going on? Please help me. But it was spring, and he's a 1-year He's a 1-year rooster. So he was on the amorous side.
In another podcast. So,
yeah,
because that is a common problem.
Yeah, I had to get a couple chicken saddles. But for a regular sized bird, and I say regular as in, your more common breeds, your Orpingtons, Australorps, Barred Rocks, Sussex, we're in production. Somebody's laid me some food.
Oh, yeah.
and it's sweet because every time they lay an egg, he sings with them. It's so cute. So you want at least 4 square feet per bird. And when I say a square foot, that's up too. Don't forget up. Chickens love up.
Yeah.
So when you include that in your 4 square feet, they love to roost up. So you can include that as space that they can take advantage of. When I decided to build the coop that I have now, I completely disassembled the coop that I had built at the other house. And my son came over, and we basically just detached it and let the 4 walls fall away like banana peels.
Oh, wow.
And they fell down, and I transported every wall that I had separately. And
Wow.
so I just started from there. And when you're building your coop, I would say that what I have here is 75% recycled materials. Pallet wood. My first coop was me taking apart pallets and using them as clapboards for the coop.
Oh, wow. That's
Um, but it's free.
yes.
Sweat equity.
Yeah.
I didn't have a lot of money to do it, but I wanted wood, and so I put in the labor. I took apart all the pallets and I made my stick frame and I covered it with pallet wood.
Did
So you can do it on the cheap.
Did you do all that by yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow.
Yeah, everything that you see here was built solely by me. A little help from my friend when I was doing the roofing and some of the things I couldn't, muscle together quite myself. But I would say 99 point something was I built from scratch myself.
Wow.
So it can be done.
And you have no building experience, right? You learn.
Not professionally, no. I may soon. I don't know. I would love to build coops for other people. That would be fun for me, and help them design things. I have. It's 8 feet tall. It's 8 foot tall. So I wanted to have lots of height so they could go up. It is the coop itself is 16 by 8. It's 16 by 8. So the finished walls inside are probably around, like they've got 7 by 10 feet because I built myself a little space, and you'll see it in the slides. I built myself a space where I could keep the feed safe. I could have a little work area, my feed, my egg cartons, my tools, my medicine kit, everything that I could have separate from the girls on location in their coop, safe from the weather, so that I could take care of them and keep all their food mouse free.
Inspiration. That really, I mean, you did an amazing, just looking at your pictures, and so that is an inspiration that you don't need to spend a lot of money. You don't need to go buy a bunch of supplies, and you don't need to be a builder or a carpenter to build something really cool.
Yeah, what I had done was I put an ISO on Facebook Marketplace, and I said, I'm looking to take somebody's deck down who doesn't want their deck anymore so that I can have the wood. And I had a guy call me and he said, I've got this stupid pool deck in my backyard, and I want it gone, and you can have the wood. And I got all the wood I could ever stand, all the timbers, all the lumber, everything else. And then I had another lady I did that for. She had a 30-foot pool. And the deck went all the way around it. I took my screw gun and my pry bar, and I got all that wood. And I got 2 by 8 by 10s. I mean, just tons of this was a professionally built deck, and I got all that lumber for free. So it can be done.
That is such a great idea too. I mean, wow.
Yeah, I mean, it helps them. They don't want to do it, and all it takes really is a screw gun, and a little labor. I'm not afraid of labor. But because of that, I spent very little on doing what I needed to do. The thing that cost me the most was the roof for the run. We bought metal roofing.
Oh, okay.
And so, because I figured I wanted it to last, I wanted it to be long-term, and metal roofing was going to be reflective, and it would keep them cool, keep them dry, and that's all I really wanted. So yes, it can be done. You do not have to spend a bajillion dollars to go out and buy a pre-made coop. There's one of my friends on a site that I frequent and I'm a member of. She went to Carolina Coops, and she swears by them, and they are fantastic. But you have got to have the money to invest to buy one of their coops, because yes, it is it's like the Cadillac of coops. I couldn't afford a Cadillac. I had to buy the junker that I had to put together on my own. But I think I made the best out of what I had. So what you're seeing, if you can see this slide that we've been looking at for a while here, what you can see here is I took the decking that I had from the other, from their pool deck, and I built the deck for the coop. It's 1 inch thick. Nothing's going to gnaw through that doesn't really have a lot of time, and I've prevented that in other ways. I have built myself what's called, you might have to bleep me out now, it's a shit shelf.
Okay.
It's a poop shelf. And so what you see there, I cantilevered it so that it hangs over the coop floor because I wanted that usable space. And what it does is I put, from Tractor Supply, I use coffee ground bedding. They sell coffee ground bedding. You pour it in there and it smells fantastic. Your coop smells like a freshly roasted cup of coffee. And you scoop it like cat litter. You get yourself a nice metal cat scoop, and you just sift out the droppings, and it stays. You can keep it in that same bag. You can use over and over again for. I've had one in there for at least 3-4 months, until
wow.
it gets kind of really yucky, and then you scoop it all out, and start again.
Is
Very
that
economical.
Can you still get that at your Tractor Supply?
Not
Yeah.
Tractor Supply.
Oh,
The only place that carries it is Rural King.
oh, okay. Yeah.
If I said Tractor Supply, I was wrong. Rural King.
Yeah, I was looking for it, and I actually went to look at Rural. We don't have any near us, but they won't ship it, so I wasn't.
No, they won't.
No, so I made some of my own, but I will never do that again.
How did that go?
Oh, it took me forever for like a little bit, because I made sure I ran through the coffee like many times because I wanted to get all the caffeine and everything out. So I didn't have that special processing. But yeah, I will never.
Right.
I loved it, but I did not have very much. I had a little bowl, and it took me like hours, and so I gave that up. But now that's good that you can get that, because I really have wanted to try that, and and I did try it, but it's not worth
the other thing that you can put in there is hemp. Hemp is expensive. However, it's very absorbent. It lasts a long time. You can sift it like you do the coffee grounds and so forth. You can use hemp in there as well, and it's very soft and very siftable, and you can even throw. I'm getting all into botanicals now. You can throw herbs in it to make it smell nicer, and keep bugs away, things like that. So, but that's what that picture is, and you can see I've got just where I built some. I went on Pinterest and I go, how do you build a truss? What's a roof truss? Okay, well, that's what that is, and I just put that together, and I built my own trusses and I put those up there. You can see up on the top where it's got that span that goes across. I did not anticipate that they would be roosting on that. Big surprise. Yes, they like to go as high up as they can. So I found out that when I put that there, I could block it off because I don't want them to get hurt coming down. But they will roost up high anyway. They'll find the highest place that they can find on a flat wall.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's really
and
nice.
you can see the ventilation that I put in there. That little vent there cost me about, I don't know, $2 at Lowe's. It's just a metal grate that I put as high up as I could in the peak to get the air out. When your air builds up, your hot air in there, you want it to come out. The ventilation, I've mentioned it a couple times. It's so important in the summer for the heat, but it's more important in the winter, because what happens is they breathe out hot air. That goes into the atmosphere. Depends on how many chickens you have, of course, too. But anything that puts moisture out into the air, moisture is your enemy in the wintertime. That's why it's almost better have your coop cold and ventilated than dry and moist.
Yeah.
Because when they go out, that's how frostbite happens. And you don't want frostbite on combs and wattles. So moisture is your enemy all year round.
Now, do you have ventilation on both sides? So do you have?
I do.
You do.
In the eaves,
Yes.
in the coop are open, and they are covered with hardware cloth, so nothing can go up into the eaves. I've got a stapler air compressor, and I shot staples in that like nobody's business. And God forbid I ever want to get it down, I'll just throw it out, because I'll never get all those staples out. Yeah. They are stapled in there, and the eaves are secure that way, and so ventilation is constantly blowing through. I have several windows in the coop itself. I have them on 3 sides. One comes into the run, one on the back side, and one on the other side. There is really nice cross breeze that comes in when I open the door during the day. Very nice cross breeze that helps everything just move around. To help it along, I got one of those fans that have the double, like you'd put into a window.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I have one of those just to keep things moving when it's 95 degrees. Ventilation alone does not help.
Yeah.
So I've seen some people put in the fans that trigger, like in your roof. You can put in something like that as long as it's secure and something can't climb down into it. So that, like you would put in an attic fan.
Yeah. Okay.
Especially in some really, really warm temperatures. I'm in Western Kentucky, like I said, so we have some humidity here. It's pretty brutal sometimes.
My family's from Paducah. I don't know if you're anywhere.
Oh, are they really? Yeah, I'm a half an hour south of Paducah. I work in Paducah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's where my mom was born and raised, in Paducah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So yeah, you're familiar with Kentucky weather. It can be everything in one day. Kind of like I grew up in, as you can see, a Ohio State fan. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. Tons of alumni in the family, and we in Ohio we can have all 4 seasons in one day.
Yeah.
That's why you learn to layer or die.
Yeah, exactly. So what other features? I love the poop tray. I think that is such a great idea. And like you said, having it set up that way, you have all the space underneath of it.
Right. Yeah. It works out well because they can go under it, and they have the space to use. The windows are important. The other features that I have in there is I have nesting boxes. I think I have a picture of the nesting boxes.
Nope,
that's let's talk about that. That's an electric door.
Oh, okay.
That's an electronic coop door. It is solar, and it will save you from getting up at who knows what time in the morning to let your chickens out. Sun comes up, they come out, and it has been a fabulous addition. You can go on Amazon and get them for kind of cheaps.
Yeah. Now, have you run into a problem with the door that somebody doesn't come in?
Yes. Yeah. But I also have cameras. Like I said, I'm decked out. We also have cameras. So what I do is sometime after dark, I check the camera and make sure everybody got in for the night. The run is so secure that even if they slept out here for some reason, they would be okay. But so they don't feel stranded or alone, I go out and then I just pop the door open and let them in.
Yeah.
It's only happened very few times. Rarely. They know when to go in. I think mostly it happened when I moved them over from the other coop.
Yeah.
They were a little disoriented and did not really know, where to go or what to do, or weren't familiar with the chicken door.
I have one that refuses to go in. Every single night, every single night, and she's like 10 months old. Every single night, I have to put her. She will just stay out like in the dark, and she just absolutely.
She enjoys the quality time with you, and she looks forward to being tucked into bed. So
that's it never fails. I know she will not. She just never has. Everybody else will go in, but never her.
Not her. Well,
and that's run. You said solar.
That what?
Your door. That's solar. Your door is
yes,
run.
it is solar. I didn't want to. It has a battery backup, but it is solar, and it gets enough. It gets plenty of light out here in the run, where I just put it where the light could hit it, and it stays. It's failed only a very few times, and I think it was because we had a prolonged period of rain and very overcast, not enough to really keep it going. Yeah. So it would close at night, but in the morning it just kind of didn't have enough juice left to open it up. So I did that. I would come out and I can check it and make sure that everybody's out and moving around.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Ventilation is so much different than drafts. I wanted to mention that. Drafts are something completely different from ventilation. Ventilation takes heat or cold up and out, away from your chickens. Drafts blow on your chickens, and those aren't good. So that's why when I got here and I built this coop, I had the clapboard siding that I had taken by making the pallet boards. Mm-hmm. I covered it with outside siding. What you see behind me here is a sheet of outdoor siding, rough cut paneling.
Wow.
So I eliminated the drafts that way.
That's because so many people, I think, confuse ventilation with drafts, and they think they have to close every crack, and because they don't want to draft. Right. But they're two very different, and that's a very good point. I'm glad you brought that up, because it is.
They're very different. You want to control the temperature in your coop. Chickens can, depending on the breed, chickens can withstand the cold much better than they can the heat. They struggle in the heat, and there's, we could do a whole show on how to keep your chickens cool. Yeah. But there are, keeping them warm in the winter, they acclimate to the cold very well. They have lots of down. Okay, girls, congratulations. They've got the down underneath. Okay, if you lift up their feathers, when you say the fluffy butt, they've got that down all the way up under their permanent feathers. The only time you really want to take care is if anybody has decided to molt in December, because I've had that happen. They felt that December would be the perfect time to molt, and it's not. So you have to kind of watch them and give them a little extra. I embarrassingly enough, crocheted a chicken sweater. Came up with a chicken sweater all on my own because she just looks so pitiful, and you don't want them to get frostbite on their skin. So they do very well in the cold. Mainly the other things that I wanted to talk about were you have to have a, adequate roosting space. Um, this is, as you see, if you can see the slide there at all, I talk about the little room that I made myself. Um, it is a luxury. Chickens don't need it for sure, but it does make it easier for me to get into them. We're separated by a little bit. I don't have to worry that when I open the door to get in, somebody's going to rush out and find the dog. Um, so it's a little barrier between me and them, but it's all open and chicken wire, very ventilated and breathable. But it lets me store things easily, and
Yeah.
I like that because I can clean. I keep my cleaning supplies, my scoops, my rakes, my extra feed and grit and oyster shell. And grit and oyster shell are two different things.
Yeah.
Two different things. They are not the same thing. Oyster shell is for the hardness of their shells, laying their eggs. I know a lot of people feed back the shells from the eggs. They, in the kitchen, they'll keep the shells, just crunch them up, throw them out. They'll eat those too. But they need something substantial when they need it. For some reason, my white leghorn, every time I put out the new oyster shell, she has a ball. She's always over there. It's her favorite thing. Um, but you need that little bit of space between you and them. The egg boxes, when you're going to plan your egg boxes, your nesting boxes, plan for, yeah. And I built mine outward so I could get the eggs from the outside if I needed to or wanted to. It's got a lock on it built out of strong plywood. It's got a roof so it's dry, stays cool in there for them. But it also did not take up any internal space
Yeah.
in the chicken coop. I wanted to maximize that, so I kind of built outward with that. A lot of people do that. It works out very well. Um, and you can either have it, mine hinges outward so that it drops down and I can reach in and clean it out easily from the outside. Some people have it where it lifts up and you can reach down in and get your eggs. Either way works just great. Um, you need, as far as the number of nesting boxes you need, and that's my project for later today, since I have 10 babies about to start laying, you need one nesting box for, I would say, an average of 4 hens. Okay. They're not going to use them all. I have 3 boxes. They only like 2. They have their favorites, and one of my girls will actually stand in front of her favorite nesting box and scream at whoever is in it. Get out my box, until she can get in there to lay her egg. When one is empty right next to her, they do have favorites, but it doesn't matter. You just want to give them enough. Okay. I would say 3 to 4, I would say 4 to 4 to 5 hens per nesting box is a good number. And you want to have them lower than your roosts. You do not want them to sleep in the nesting boxes, and their natural inclination is to roost up high. So you want to put the nesting boxes just a little lower than your roosts if you can. That's another design thing that I really enjoyed, because I had girls that were hanging out sleeping in their nesting boxes because they were the same level as the coop, as the roosts, and they thought, oh, good, though, this one's way more comfortable than that over there. I'm going to sleep in here. And so as far as roosts go, you want to have about 8 to 10 inches of roost bar per hen. They can go up, in that 8 to 10 inches. You don't have to do it linear. You don't, just up or down or sideways. I've had them all which directions. I've put them diagonally in the corners. They seem to like to be in the corner very much. So I kind of made a little addition there, and I put a nesting bar or a roosting bar in the corner. They like that a lot.
I had a question going back to the nesting box. What size for each box would you recommend would be the best?
12 by 12 by 12.
12 by 12.
Seems
Okay.
12 by 12 seems to work very well. If you have bantams, you don't need anything quite that big. And I've got a Brahma girl, Rapunzel, and she fits in there just fine.
Okay.
Yeah, she fits in there just fine. 12 by 12 works very, very well. If you have all Brahmas, you could go a little bigger if you wanted to, if that's your breed and that's what you have. You can base it on your bird. But I have a beautiful mixed flock. I have Orpingtons, a Brahma, cream leg bars, Easter eggers. I have one little speckled Sussex, Dixie, who talks to me all the time. And so I have a varied flock. And so I kind of went with the average, and everybody seems to fit in there just fine.
Oh, good.
And you can use anything. Like I said, you don't have to build them in. You want to do it on the cheap, go to Walmart, get yourself some, they sell them at school time for the kids, the milk crates. Get a milk crate and screw it to the wall. They love it.
That's a good idea.
I've seen people use the 5-gallon buckets that you get at Lowe's, Tractor Supply, Rural King, anywhere. Lay them on their side. Put straw in there. Works perfectly fine. I had girls when they were back in the coop that they were in when I was building. I was like, I was getting 8 eggs a day. Now I'm getting 3 eggs a day. What is happening? What's going on? I'm looking everywhere for eggs. It was a shed, and there were some tires in the corner. When I moved everything, I found 42 eggs.
Oh my goodness.
I found 42 eggs in a tire in the shed.
Oh, wow.
So they will lay in anything. If you have old tires laying around, saw them in half. I've seen them hung on the wall.
That's a great idea.
Anything. You can use anything. You do not have to do it expensive. As far as when I was building the flat part of the coop and the run, okay, on here we have a picture of when I was just framing out the run. What I did was I took 4-foot hardware cloth, and you can use chicken wire. You can use chicken wire because it's inexpensive, and a lot of people have lots of it. That will work too. It will work probably just as well as hardware cloth. For digging predators, I took that and I ran it 2 feet on either side of the board on the ground. And so whatever wants to dig in here is going to pull their nails out to do it. Because at this point, the grass has grown up through that chicken wire that I put hardware cloth, but it has grown up through the hardware cloth, and it's not visible any longer. I can mow over it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I put it down with, you buy landscape pins, like you would pin down your landscape cloth.
Mm-hmm.
I bought landscape pins and pinned it into the ground and hammered it down. And now I can mow over it because the grass and their roots have grown up through it. And anything that's going to try to dig under there is going to have to go 2 feet out and 2 feet in. They're going to have to really dig a tunnel to try to get my girls.
Yeah, that's
yeah, and I did that under the coop as well. So
wow.
Their foundation is completely surrounded by, I have mice, but everybody has mice.
Yeah.
If you have chickens, you have mice. I built myself, when I was framing up, I tried to make access. You want easy access to your coop, whatever you're building. You want some way for you to get in to get eggs, to get to your girls. If somebody is sick or hurt, not acting right, they're going to hide in a corner, and you want to be able to get to them. You want to have access to every part of your coop, so that if anybody is not doing well, you can get in there and get them. That's one really important thing. It's nice, even if you just put like a little trap door that you can hook with carabiners, or a latch that a raccoon isn't going to get into. You want to make your run toddler proof.
Yeah. Yeah. That
Because
was wrong. And it was the raccoon actually hinged the way the door was set up. It lifted the whole door and unhinged it, and then was able to get in. And so
yeah.
I just never even imagined, and they stayed safe for so long. So I started to feel more at ease. But yeah, so toddler proofing that's a great way to put it, because I did not expect that.
Yeah. Toddler proofing, because a raccoon is going to be just about as clever as a toddler,
Yeah.
They're very smart, and they are very adept. They are very dexterous. They are very good with their hands, and they will they'll figure out one of those twist locks in a minute.
Yeah.
And then they'll be in with your chickens, and they don't want to. They're not a great predator. I mean, they eat toes. They'll take their heads off, then they leave the rest of the chicken. It's terrible the way they kill a chicken.
Yeah.
So the way that I built it was any gap that was bigger than an inch had something covering it. And you can do it over time. You don't have to do it today. You don't have to do it today. You can do it over time. Just as you're walking around your coop, look for gaps. Look for things when you're cleaning out the floors and the corners, and look for anything that may have found its way in. Mice you can't keep those out. And by the way, chickens they'll actually catch them and eat them. They don't care. They're omnivores. I did invent, by accident, I invented a better mousetrap. I keep my scratch grains and my feed in 10-gallon galvanized buckets with lids that kind of clip on there, mouse proof, unless you leave the lid off. And I have two cans for feed. One was empty. It had a little bit in the bottom, and I left the lid off one night. And I found 4 mice in there in the morning who were jumping like crazy because they could not get out on the galvanized can. I was like, I built a better mousetrap.
Wow, that's a great idea.
And you know what? I have caught a total of 9 mice.
Oh, wow.
And I run them to the back of the farm and let them go. I'm a catch and release girl. I don't want to harm any beings. We all live here together. So I did the catch and release program. Some people would probably kill them or something, but I'm not that person. But I honestly, I have tried to do what I can do. I made Dutch doors on they're simple, made with 2x4s. So easy. I made the Dutch doors so that I have a garden that's adjacent to the coop where I grow kale and lettuce and things that chickens love to eat. And so I can just unlatch that door, swing it open, and toss them in some treats.
Oh, wow.
Tomatoes that have gone a little off or whatever. I just toss them in there, and I don't have to worry that they're going to get out at my feet.
Great idea.
So it's nice to be able. Oh, and they love grass clippings. When I mow the lawn, I mow and I put the grass catcher on there, and I'll open the door and toss in a bunch of grass. They very rarely free range now because I lost 3 to hawks,
Mm.
and they get lots of greenery. I also have a dog that thinks chickens are delicious. So until I can train him properly, I have to keep them in for the most part. If he goes in, they can come out. And I
Yeah.
try to give them some free ranging time at the end of the day. But as far as security goes, I want to I have a picture up here. That is a radio cabinet that I found in where is it? Somewhere in Illinois, no, it was in Missouri. Just about a 2-hour drive from here. They were selling it for $20, an old radio cabinet, and it has lots of shelves and it has a drop down drawer. I keep all my supplies, my first aid, my tools, anything I need to make little repairs, screwdriver, whatever. I keep all that in there. And that little shelf sits down, so if I have an injured chicken, it makes for a great work table.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I can treat an injured bird on that little place that holds
Pretty
down
and
there.
practical. So that's
You
great.
know, yeah, anything that I try to put in there, I try to put in there for a reason.
Yeah.
Some of it's just for me. The inside of the coop it's painted with high gloss white paint. You can whitewash it. If you get lime, you can whitewash the inside of the wood, which is very good for it. It basically is the same effect, better for bugs. If I'd have thought about it, I'd have done the lime wash on the inside of the clapboards.
Now,
But
how wide is your roost bar?
those are 2x4s laying on their sides.
Oh, okay.
2x4s laying so that the flat side is up. It gives them. You can round them.
Hmm.
You can take a little sanding paper or whatever and just kind of round it off. Make sure there's nothing sharp going to hurt them or whatever. Mine are painted. So like this spring, I took all those boards out. I unscrewed them, took them outside, hit them with the pressure washer, and because of the high gloss paint, everything came right off, and we started clean again. When I did my semi-annual clean out, I cleaned everything, and so I made them so that I could take them off and clean them.
Oh,
They're two
that's
by
good.
fours.
Now,
Yeah, since
do
Go
they
ahead.
use the ramp? Do they use the ramp to get up to the roost bar, or do they fly up?
A lot of them fly up. That it's not any more than 30 something inches off the ground. It would be like counter height.
Oh, okay.
They can jump that high.
Yeah.
But some of the bigger girls, like the Brahma, she uses the ramp.
Okay.
She doesn't jump quite as readily, so she uses the ramp to get up. The babies, when they were smaller, when we all started sleeping in the same coop, they went up the ramp. They found it, and they spend at first they spent an awful lot of time in the coop.
Yeah.
They felt safe in there because their brooder was in there. And I started off. I do have a picture of the built-in brooder.
Oh,
I think
okay.
everybody should have that. That's their nesting box. That's outside where they had been covered in the
Oh,
winter time. I covered everything. I surrounded it. I went to Lowe's and bought plastic, the heavy plastic, and I completely covered the surround so that they were protected from the cold and the elements. And it actually worked like a greenhouse where the inside temperature in the run was warmer than the ambient air outside, and they still had ventilation. And it worked very well.
Yeah, that's it's a lot of work, but it looks like. Did you leave the front open or the top open? Where did you leave for the ventilation?
The ventilation was at the eaves. I did
Okay.
not cover the eaves.
Well,
They were predator proofed, but I left the eaves open. There is, if you can see it, there's a illustration of their nesting boxes
oh, okay.
that
So here,
they
yep.
like them covered. I mean, the curtains are adorable, right? Okay, the curtains are very cute. However, it has a practical purpose too. They feel safe. They feel closed in, and they feel safe to lay an egg. So that's just as much for them as me.
Yeah, it looks very pretty having curtains.
Yeah, well, I did go overboard.
Oh, wow.
In the winter time, since things are bleak and kind of gross, and we have a big farm, I went down and hacked down a couple trees, a couple little pine trees, and I brought it inside so that they had some greenery. The pine needles are good for them too, and we have an abundance of very young pine trees. So I cut them something that made them feel protected and still a little outdoors. The plastic I used was not clear; it was very heavy. So I did want to bring a little of the outdoors in for them. Um, I always try to think of, if I were a chicken trapped in here, what would it be like?
Yeah. Oh,
This is I do now underneath the shelf that I built for droppings. Okay, I made what's called the hen den. The hen den, I think everybody should have when you're planning your coop. Think about an area, even if it's not in your coop. Think about where you're going to take an injured hen who has experienced trauma or is hurt or sick, or that you need to segregate from the flock. Um, that give them a place where they can feel closed in, safe, and give them some time to recuperate away from the activity of the other hens. Um, I used it as a brooder when I got chicks. I bought chicks from My Pet Chicken in March, and those girls just laid me their first blue egg
oh,
yesterday. I
wow.
was like, proud mom. I was so excited. I carried it to the house. I'm like, I have a blue egg. Um, they they needed to be outside, out of my bedroom, uh, and it was time. So I brought them in and I put them in the hen den where they lived very happily until I could integrate them with the flock. We did the see but don't touch for quite a while. It worked
Yeah.
out very well for that. Um, and then I could prop their door open to the point where the big girls could not get in, but they could get out.
Yeah.
So they could venture out a little bit, but when they felt threatened, they could run into their safe space.
Yeah.
Works also very well for a sick or injured hen. A built-in
That's
brooder
great.
can be a nice thing to have.
Yeah, that is great because it keeps them close by, but they're still separate and they can have their own space. Now I love that the hen den. That's perfect.
Yeah, yeah. This was the old. I wanted to show a picture of the old run, or the old coop and run that I had. Um, you can see our kitten Hey Hey. We named her Hey Hey. She thought she was a chicken, and every night that was taken at night, she wanted to roost with the girls.
Oh,
She
that's so funny.
she wanted to be a chicken, and she still loves to be with them. We have plenty of cats on the farm, and they coexist with the chickens very nicely. They've been pecked in the head once or twice. So, but I wanted to illustrate the fact that you do not have to have a fancy setup painted white with a fancy cabinet, and you have to have the basics. Chickens need roosts. They need bedding. They need a place to lay an egg, and they need a place to eat and feel safe. That's basically what they need: ventilation and to stay cool. That's what they need. So this is not a fancy coop, but this is an absolutely acceptable coop to make something out of an old shed. Works great. It works just great. So they were very happy in there until they got to their fancy new digs.
Yeah, you start basic, and then it's an ongoing forever project where there's always more to add or do. And
That's one of my babies now. She's a blue splash Americana. That's Rachel.
she's beautiful.
Thank you, thank
She is
you. I
beautiful.
think she's pretty cute too.
Oh wow, yeah, she is beautiful.
Yeah, and I put lots of nice greenery out for them. I'm starting to plant herbs all around the run so that they can forage there. They'll take a little bit of what they need. I'm trying to grow some um, lemon balm and lavender, catnip. Uh, I've got mint growing, and I'm trying to get that to grow like around the outsides so that it gives them a little bit of shade too around the bottom of the run, and they can pick at it through the run and get what they need. They can just take a little snip here, a little snip there of whatever they're feeling they're needing.
It looks like a little garden oasis. It looks so pretty and peaceful, and just really nice, relaxing. I can see why you enjoy sitting with the chickens, because it's a little.
I built myself a screened-in chicken porch.
Yeah.
Is what I did. This is a screened-in porch with chickens in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
This is that's the little. I built them I mentioned before, a dust bath, and not just any old. I had this gazebo at my other house, and I had brought it with me because I really liked it and I didn't want to lose it. So I put it together here inside the run, so that it acts as the bottom acts as their dust bath. I keep filling it with like topsoil and sand and diatomaceous earth for them, but they roost on it. They enjoy relaxing on it. They climb all over it. It's a little entertainment because right about now they are getting at each other. When you have young chickens mixed in with your older established flock, they tend to stay as a flock unto themselves for quite a while.
Yeah.
And right about now they're going to be integrating, and so they're doing their fighting. They're where their hackles are up, and they're
Oh yeah.
they're kind of poking at each other, and giving each other a hard time to try to establish a hierarchy that's eventually going to work into the main coop or into the main flock.
Yeah.
So right about now they're kind of at each other, but it gives them a place to get away from whoever might be picking at them. They sit there and they enjoy the breeze and kind of relax. And
I love that because, I love that. It just shows that there's all kinds of things you might have around the house or the yard, or you can repurpose it and create something for the chickens, and right inside the run, and it looks beautiful too.
We had a tree that had fallen, a pine tree that had fallen down, so I took some of the larger branches, and they were nice and straight, so I just made that out of. And then what the weaving is at the bottom is for them to kind of grip onto so they can get onto the top. They love that. It's just sticks from the yard. I took sticks from the yard and just kind of like mixed it in there. And when they break them, I just go get more sticks. That's my the front of the coop. I made myself a little chicken porch so that I could step up and into the coop. That works out very well for scraping off your shoes.
Yeah, I just your coop has a very homey, comfortable, just a very like rustic, but so homey and comfortable that it's so inviting. And I mean, I think people would like to live there.
Well, when I if you get to the pic, hello, I dropped something. When
Whoops.
we get to the part where you show the inside finished, it's honestly, I built it and I sent my son a picture. He goes, Mom, that's nicer than my apartment.
Oh, I think I don't.
Oh,
Yeah,
we didn't use that one.
yeah, I don't think I have that one.
Let me see if I've got it and I can just hold it up here. Let's see. I have many pictures, many pictures to choose from.
It sounds it's something so fun that you can do though, because I mean, you can personalize it as long as you have the main elements that you talked about. You can really
Right.
personalize it with things around your house, repurpose things, and and create a unique and individual space that fits your personality or fits your style.
Right.
And and I mean, that keeps it fun.
When you have the basics,
Yep.
from there you can go wild. Okay, you give them ventilation, you give them, and we talked about it. A coop is never finished; it's never done. It's the chickens sometimes initiate the change. They don't like the roost bars that you made. You had the best of intentions, setting it all up. They don't roost on them for some reason. So you change the configuration and give them something else and see if they like it better. A lot of times they dictate what it is that they want. So a coop and a run is never finished. And if you enjoy it and it's your hobby and you love them and you want to give them the best environment that you can have, or if you just want eggs and you want to make sure they're comfortable and happy and healthy, that's all it takes. Just get a chicken. Here's let me see if I can hold it up well enough where you can see it. I don't know. This
Oh, wow.
is, they have a chandelier that works. Yeah,
Oh,
it's not
wow.
a very good thing, but
Well,
they do. They have.
What we'll do is I will post all the pictures. So for anybody that is listening to the podcast that isn't able to see the photos that you were referencing, they can go
Yes.
to weekendhomesteaders.com and look for a post there. It will be in the blog, and it's going to be entitled Coop Design and Layout. And they'll be able to find the photos, as well as we will post this also on YouTube so they can see the video. But
That's wonderful.
yeah, I mean, you do have such, I love the pictures. You have done an amazing job. And the fact that you built it all yourself is, and for me, I'm not handy in that way, I would say. So I would never even try, but you've kind of inspired me to try to build something. So,
It's not difficult. YouTube is our friend. I can learn to do anything off YouTube.
So I have to ask you, behind you, I see the
Yes.
Ohio State. So what, yes. So is that painted on there?
Yes, that's painted over stain. Yeah, and I freehanded that.
What don't you do?
I'm cutting a stained glass window for the inside of the coop. I do that too. I don't know. I'm waiting to find out. I'm waiting to find that thing that I try that I go, that's not for me. Try everything. That's my advice. Try everything. You don't know you can't do it until you try to do it and you can't.
Yeah, that's true. Wow. Well, this has been such a great opportunity, and you have so much information, and I am so glad that you shared it with us. In summing everything up, is there anything that maybe we didn't cover that you wanted to add and share?
Just keep your water elevated. Keep your water elevated. They like to kick junk into their water. So if you have a watering station and have more than one, based on the number of chickens you have, keep it up high. I put mine on a cinder block and a stone, landscape stone so that they can't kick junk into their water. Make sure their feed doesn't mold. Give them a nice, and when you're doing that, that's a big part of keeping things in, when design yourself a place to keep your feed. That's it. That's it. Have fun. That's my advice, is have fun. Enjoy it, make it your own, put your personality into it, put their personality into it, and just don't tell anybody that, or don't let anybody tell you you can't. Just do it.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much. It has been a pleasure talking with you, and everything is beautiful, and I am impressed and I'm inspired. So thank you very much.
You can find me at Ohio State Cluck Eyes.